Hey, Essie, how are ya?
I'm good. I got a babysitting gig today, so
Oh, that's good.
right before this.
I was wondering how that was working with social distancing and whether people were still having babysitters.
Not really that good, but it's okay. Like last week, right when I came back, I had one, and then this week I got one.
Interesting. Yes, it will be good to see. I've just been emailing with YVoters to text them the URL for the Zoom and you know.
I should do that too. Zariel is hopping on actually. I just spoke.
Oh, is she? I actually didn't email her because I didn't text her because I didn't think she was, but that's great.
Yeah,
but I didn't text your sister either, just because my sense was that both of them were sort of like not super in, so I didn't want them to feel pressure.
Yeah.
But great to.
But this is not a leadership meeting, right?
No, this is the all YVote.
Okay, good.
Yeah, oh, that's right. You missed the leadership one, so that's why.
Yeah, so I got a confused.
Hypothetical.
I was gonna get pizza and just like eat it, but then I was like, let me not. I got a panini.
What do you mean? You know, be like, oh my God, this is the best pizza I've ever had. That's funny. So there are breakout rooms at the bottom. Do you see them now, or is it still only on the administrator screen?
I don't see them.
Okay, and let me make you a. Oh wait, Divine's asking something.
The meeting ID, do you have that?
There's no meeting ID.
It's just the link, right?
No, it's just the link. Didn't you just click on the link?
Oh, she's here now.
Okay. Divine, was it asking you for a meeting ID? Divine, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Was it asking you for a meeting ID?
Yeah, because I have it set up on my computer.
If you already have it downloaded, yeah, it'll ask you.
Yeah.
But people should just be the link.
Oh, okay. What should we do so that people don't get confused? Yes, I'm not sure.
Be like, just press the link. Be like, oh, don't go into the Zoom. Don't go into your Zoom app.
Oh, I see. So Divine,
the link will take them there.
Okay. I think I sort of get it. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna make you guys.
You already did, right, to us? Let me see.
I'm making you co-host now.
Copy.
Let me see, make co-host. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick practice breakout room, I think. Let's see.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna put each of you in one. Open all rooms.
Oh, cool.
Were you invited?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into our rooms for a second so I can see if I can bring you back.
Okay.
Will you accept the link? Hello, aren't we having, oh, and goodbye. We're all back. Zuriel, hello, how are you? What a pretty window behind you. Like, that's the nice advantage of this. We get to sort of see everyone's pretty views.
Well, this isn't my city view. This is
okay.
I left to go to Maine very quickly.
Yes, probably a good call. Okay, I haven't figured out how to get Yessie back, so I'm gonna try to get.
I'm texting her right now.
Okay. But I think it's me. I think I have her stuck in a breakout room. So I'm gonna try to rejoin her for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem.
Will you do the honors? I'm right here.
Zuriel's on the call.
Yeah.
Wait, I just in a minute.
Oh yeah, I see breakout rooms in the bottom now.
Oh, it is on the bottom for you now?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to leave them there for now, but we'll be able to assign people. Zuriel, do you you have the advantage in being here on time to decide if you would like to be in a subgroup around civic education or around voter mobilization? Any preferences?
Sorry, I'm doing like homework stuff. Give me a second. Sorry, repeat what you said.
No problem. I was just asking if you have a preference for being in a small group around voter mobilization or civic education.
I'll do civic education.
Excellent. Good choice. Okay, I'll get you set up for that and let me.
Hi, Mello.
Oh, did she just get in? Okay, she was having trouble getting in. Which will be good. We want these things so we can figure out how to troubleshoot them. Yeah, see, the one thing we're going to do this time that we can potentially do differently next time is I didn't pre-assign the groups into the breakout rooms. So we'll see if I can do that on the spot. I have them, but I have them in a spreadsheet as opposed to like already loaded into Zoom.
All right, cool.
Okay. Edward said that he is doing an emergency shop for his aunt to buy groceries and supplies. Good man.
Good.
Is there an outline he could read afterwards? We'll try. Okay. Okay. Michaela, welcome. Yassi, do we want to put anything? I'm going to try to experiment by putting the prompt, the warm-up questions. Not that we're going to start yet. We'll give people a couple minutes. But I'm going
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Adam.
Adam, how are ya?
It's Corona time.
The Corona head shave. Make sure there's no Corona in there.
I'm dead.
I will be interested to hear people's favorite and least favorite memes that are going around. Could be dangerous. Could be dangerous. Yes. Has everyone been using Zoom for other things? Kelly, Nathaniel, Kenisha, Zach, welcome. You're using it for school?
For school? Same.
Not like fully. Like we just do normal online school. Like, we don't have videos, but like some of the classes like that are like very interactive, we use it. Zoom has suddenly become like a new thing so quickly.
Oh yes. I don't know if people have heard. If you bought
They're making money.
If you bought stock in Zoom back in like January and dumped your stock of everything else, someone told me you'd have like $2 million, now.
Yeah.
So anyone here that farsighted? Anyone buy stock in Zoom?
Why is Zoom suddenly like such a big deal?
Because everybody's using it.
Because no one can see each other.
I know, but like out of all of the online things.
Right, Google Hangouts, Skype. That's a question I have too. How did Zoom corner the market? I mean, I have heard that people don't like Google Hangout, that it's much less stable, which is sort of
can't share the screen.
It's because like you could raise your hand and stuff. Like teachers have a lot more control. You could like mute and unmute.
And you can't do that on Google Hangout.
Google has also put no infrastructure into the calling feature. I don't know why.
I'll bet
they regret it now.
There, right? Kakeli's point about having more control, I'm sure, is a huge point, especially for teachers.
Hey everybody, TT Leo's here.
Hi, Titi.
Hey, I'm
You.
sorry. I might sound a little dozy because I just woke up from sleep. And
Oh wow, I wish.
I had 2 classes for like I'm gonna knock out for a good 30 minutes. I'm gonna come over here.
We know that everyone has spent a long day, mostly on video and other things. So we're going to do all that we can to keep this lively, mellow, to keep this lively and engaging. We may even do jumping jacks mid-session to get ourselves going. Why not? Yes, said she was going to get pizza and eat it in front of everyone just to like make everyone really
that
jealous.
Would be very
no, I got a panini instead, but I had to eat, you know? Your girl gotta
and
eat.
We welcome anyone to fulfill whatever bodily functions you need, putting in, taking out, you know, we're family here. But we are thrilled to see you and to hear those of you we can't. And we just want to start with like a quick reconnect about like, how are you holding up? And, you know, so just like, how are you holding up? You know, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And then we'd love for you to share one thing that you are learning beyond school. So do we want to do it, Mello and Divine, who are monitoring the chat? Do we want to do it by having people raise hands or just do popcorn style?
Let's just popcorn.
Popcorn it.
Just to let you know, you have to take yourself off mute.
Yes. Don't say brilliant, amazing things and not let us hear it and have it lost in history. Okay, so the prompts are, and I will figure out if I can put these prompts, I'm going to put them into the little chat for those who can see the chat. Oh, and before we do that, does anyone have questions? Anyone who hasn't used Zoom, any questions about how to use this or like any technical challenges?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Good. Well, feel free to raise them if they come. Okay, who wants to popcorn us first? How are you holding up? What are you learning beyond school?
I'll go first. Okay, so I'm not holding up any type of weight. I'm tired all the time. I'm always eating. And like I try to incorporate like working out, like going to the gym before this, and it's just like I'm just gaining back all the weight. And like I would say like I've been learning like TikTok, but also my school doesn't take regions. We take PBACs, performance-based assessment. Like, I'm taking 2 of them, and these are my 2 hardest classes right now: neuroscience and statistics. And like this online class is not really helping, and it's not making it easier. It's kind of just stressing me out, and it's just giving me anxiety. And the fact that they're saying now that we might not go back to school is just like, oh my God, junior year was supposed to be easier. But I mean, junior year is one of the hardest years, but like this semester was supposed to like just be a smooth boat, but it's not. But it's whatever.
Thank you for sharing that. And others, before you go, say your name and pronoun, and then how you're holding up. What are you learning beyond school? Adam, you are up next.
I learned that I can go to sleep at 8 a.m. and wake up at 6 p.m. And nothing matters. Changes absolutely nothing about my day because time isn't real. It doesn't mean anything. I started the new Jim Crow because I can read. There's like too much reading actually, but like whatever, I'm reading. And I guess I would describe myself like feeling wise, like I'm just like it's kind of happening and I've surrendered. Like it's over. I'm just gonna do what I want to because there's nothing I can do about Corona, except stay at home. So that's how I'm feeling.
Go ahead, next person.
I agree with like the sleeping thing because I go to sleep at 4 and then I wake up at 12 and I still get the exact same amount of work done. So I don't really see a problem with that.
Wait, I don't,
Who was that?
it was Zoe. It's the green box thing. My lecture. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I could wake up at like 9 now because it's like an hour later.
That's a good thing, maybe.
Are we just
Pronouns.
randomly doing it?
We forgot our pronouns.
Zoe, you want to finish us off with your pronouns and something you're learning?
I'm she, her. Oh, also, by the way, at 5:30, I have to leave for like 10 minutes and then I'll be back.
Same.
That's so random.
We will not be offended. We know that people may need to like step out for pets, for parents, for various things. Just take care of your needs. We totally understand and appreciate your being here.
Flexible.
Who's next?
Going? You want to?
I can go.
Oh.
My name is Isana. My pronouns are she, her, and I've just been doing like a lot of school, like, basically the same stuff that I was doing in school, but now I'm just doing it out of school. So.
Does it feel the same?
No, I miss being at school actually. Yeah.
And what's something that you're learning or that you want to be learning?
What do you mean, like in school or in general?
No, like sort of like be in general.
Oh, I'm learning that I'm learning that like people like really like have people always like have like people have like a appreciation for the outdoors, like even people who prefer to stay inside, you know, now the fact that we can't go outside, like a lot of people are recognizing that. So
great one. Thank you.
I'll go next. My name is Zuriel, and in my team Marisol, but that's like my first name. My second name is Zuriel, whatever. And then what I've learned is that I can discipline myself without like school, which I like didn't know because I just kind of don't do my homework, but I have been doing my work with online school. So yeah, and also that I will have such a great appreciation for like my friends and honestly like teaching like school in general, like the actual learning aspect as well, because it's not as like easily accessible through the internet. So I'll just be very appreciative when I get back.
Snaps to that.
And how are you holding up?
I'm holding up well. I'm good because I'm in. I can go outside because I'm in Maine. So I'm like, it's not that bad.
She's quarantined outside.
Exactly, and it snowed today, so we can go sledding. So it's not too bad.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go next. My name is Nathaniel. My pronouns are he, his. And for me,
Nathaniel is new tonight, so let's have our welcome, Nathaniel.
Welcome, Nathaniel.
well, it's kind of been an adjustment for me. I'm in public school, so I only actually started virtual learning this week, and I've gone out twice because I needed to because I got stir crazy. But it's I don't think I'll ever get used to being stuck inside. Like it's one thing to want to be inside, and then it's another thing entirely to just not be able to go outside really.
I feel you. Anything you're learning or want to learn?
Well, I think I want to just get feelers for how this works.
Oh yes, so specifically for tonight, yes, we can definitely meet that learning goal. Thank you, Nathaniel. Good to have you join us. Who's next?
I can go next, I guess.
Thank you.
My name is Bella. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm holding up okay. I'm staying home increasingly more now that things are getting worse. but it is like a good chance to try and do things beyond school. Like I'm trying to read more classic literature and like play soccer for me is something like try to learn how to do that better, I guess. It's a good chance to do that, although I do miss school in a lot of ways.
Fair enough.
No. I found like that I've also like been feeling a little stir crazy, stuck inside, but I was, but then I started like running every day and I've been going out a couple times every day, so that's good. And with I've also learned that like more about like my study habits and stuff, and like that I can actually be a lot more productive at home than I
Yeah. Yeah, so you've been done online school for like so long. What do you mean?
But I still had the ability to go outside. Now I can't go outside as much as. Should I just go now? Okay. Hi everyone. She, her, hers. So I've been keeping up okay. I was actually traveling right when in the midst of it, so I came back. I don't feel anything.
Where'd you go?
Feel sick or anything. But the online, what I was used to is not the same as right now, so it's getting me annoyed because my teachers want to Zoom call for like 2.5 hours, and I just think it's just like, for what? And like, it's just they want to have control and they want to feel like a professor, so I get it now because I asked my teacher like genuinely because I was just wondering. And like for math, I get it because like it's math, but like it's just hard because there's people disrupting the call and like people joking around sometimes. And I'm a big workout person, so it's been kind of sad for me. I've been trying to go to Riverbank, but then I realized there's way too many people there, so I stopped going recently. Because there was like a lot of, like on Friday it was really hot outside and everybody decided to go. So I was just like, oh, maybe I should be the one not going to like areas that are very filled. And I'm not really a runner, but I'm trying to try it out. Something I learned, I've been keeping a lot, keeping up with politics a lot now, way more than usual. And I just, like, something I learned about Trump today is that like he only cares about the economic crisis rather than the health crisis. And it's really like, he wants to like stop the shutdown, which is annoying because it's someone's health on the line, and he just cares about him not being in recession while on office. Like, that's my perspective of it, and I'm just annoyed by that.
That's the truth. Can I comment on that?
Yes.
Because he just doesn't want, because his big thing while like being in office was that he had a good economy, which is why he like slashed the interest rates. And so now that we actually have a global crisis, or obviously like a national crisis as well, but I'm saying like now that we have a national crisis, there's like not that much interest rate to actually like slash, which will be helpful for the economy. But he just doesn't want to seem like he did bad in office so he can get reelected.
So that is actually going to be a segue to our second conversation. So hold that thought and we will come back to it. Others who want to check in, tell us how you're doing and something you're learning or hope to learn beyond school during this time.
Oh, I could go, I guess. Okay, well, I'm Kelly. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And 2 good things happened. 2 of my APs were canceled, so all I have to do is do my performance tasks, and then like I'm done with them. Kind of sucks because they cost money, but I mean, what? I only have to take 1 AP now instead of 3.
It's online, no? My little sister told me it was online.
No, like I'm taking comp sci and capstone too, and both of them are canceled because they're performance tasks APs. So they just decided they'll grade the performance tasks and that'll count as the AP grade.
Wait, how is that?
And the other one that you, sorry.
Oh, I have World, and we have to take World. They shortened it to like 45 minutes or something. I don't know if it's gonna be like just short response or like the essay response, but better than before.
Yeah, no, it isn't, because what if it's an essay?
Yeah.
The essays are really hard.
Yeah, but it's online, so you can do whatever.
Yeah, you could like cheat if you wanted to. I mean, you could have like something in front of you.
That's not. That's not. Yeah, but you have
right.
45 minutes to complete.
But they're not ready to have that conversation.
Wait, it's not cheating. It's using your resources.
Exactly.
Like everybody says.
Yes, it's cheating.
No, I'm not. I'm allowed. It's open book for me.
You're really trying to do something with that. Oh. Yes.
Okay, who's next? Who's next?
Can y'all hear me?
Frank.
I don't. Is there a way to raise your hand? Because I've done Zoom chats where you can like raise your hand, like in the chat.
Yeah, but we're
There
just gonna do
is. We
popcorn
thought
right
for the
now.
check-ins we do popcorn, but we may shift to raised hands for some other parts.
Okay.
Oh, hear me by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Whoever that is. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I just came from like 2 other Zoom chats, which is really funny, and then I took a shower because I realized it wasn't gonna be a good time to take a shower. I don't know. My mom's really stringent on being able to go out, so I have not gone out for like a week, like out of the house, which is unfortunate. But I've been like watching a lot of films, and so that's like one good thing that's come out of this. I'm also happy that they didn't cancel the APs because like I go into college with like a lot of credits if I end up taking all my APs and getting like sufficient scores. So I'm very glad that it's like shorter now. It's gonna be easier. It's gonna be online. So I'm happy for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Brief pause to say, like, you might be seeing a breakout room. Don't click on that. That's for later. I'm sort of experimenting.
Yeah,
to get you
Julio
in those
just
rooms. Sorry about that. I thought I was just like assigning it like undercover, but just ignore it. It'll become operant later.
Yeah, I just clicked on that.
Sorry about that. So sorry. I didn't realize you were getting it until I saw someone go through. Okay, we are running a little bit long, but would love to hear from anyone else who wants to share how you're doing, what you're learning, briefly.
Go ahead, Kat.
So for me, it's been a weird transition. Like I've been really, really lazy. So I've been trying to instill like a daily regimen, like eat a healthy breakfast, exercise for like 20 minutes because I'm like super weak, and like just try to get my work done, be productive. And it's been pretty hard, but online school has been okay. Like I always wake up like a minute before 9 o'clock when it starts. Yeah. So, but it's fine. It's just like it's boring without being in my classmates, but it's nice to work at my own pace, and the work hasn't been too heavy, so it's pretty good.
Wow, speak for yourself.
But,
He is.
Literally.
So yeah, it's been okay, and I just hope I can maintain productivity because I'm the kind of person that like needs a strict schedule in order to get anything done, and being at home
routine.
So, yeah, so I hope I can continue. Day 2 has been fine so far, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you're right. Tuesday too.
Well done.
I feel like I've been doing
the best, Kat.
I'm already done.
Others?
I guess I'll go.
Please do.
Alright, so my name is Zachary. He, him, his. Break has been very not break necessarily, but this whole coronavirus staying home from school has been very interesting. I have gone out a couple of times every day, but like now I'm like more aware of it, so I'm gonna try to stay inside more, like limit my travels and expeditions.
Expeditions,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there goes Flora and Dora. Dora and Diego.
Anything you're learning or wanting to learn, Zach?
No, I'm just doing online school and then going out after I finish.
You sound
anything you want to learn beyond that?
Yeah. Now that I have like more time on my hands, you could say I'm trying to pick up like small like skills such as like building a bike or like other stuff along those lines.
Building a bike is a small skill?
Engineering and such.
Building a bike. I'm good.
This is the level of ambition we need in YVote. Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go next. So I have online classes.
Bukatis, introduce yourself and your pronouns.
Yeah.
Kick out whoever that was.
Yeah, I was like, my name is Bukatis, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I've had online school for the past 2 weeks, which has been a little hectic because all of the professors don't know how to use Zoom yet.
Like me.
Yeah. Another thing, both of my parents are considered essential employees, so I have to stay at home and do homework with my siblings, which has been a hard transition because not only I have to do my work, but I have to help them with their work as well. And I work in a supermarket afternoons, so I'm also considered an essential employee. So I still have to go out and go to work, which is crazy. But I think I'm just taking it day by day and trying not to overthink a lot of it. Yeah. Pretty much.
That is very real. Thank you for sharing. Anything you want to learn in the time between all that you're juggling?
I think I would like to learn more time management skills. I feel like now, I really realize what it's like to juggle a lot of things. So definitely planning out my time a little bit more.
Great. Who
You, Sandra.
Oh,
do we have
others?
Divine, Mellow.
Divine Mellow.
Go ahead, Divine.
Okay. Okay. Divine, she, her, hers. I have not been handling it well in terms of time management. So whoever said that already, I feel you. In terms of work stuff, I've been on top of it. School stuff, not so much on top of it. Trying to change that. Something that I am now learning or continuing to learn is guitar. My guitar sits at the end of my bed, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on top of it. So I'm trying to remove that and try to play it every day because there's this course that I'm taking, 365 days. Already missed 2 days of that. But yeah, just trying to find small ways to discipline myself. That's my weak spot. So yeah.
Mello, I think you should share what you've been doing.
Ooh.
How you're doing.
So I'm Mellow, for folks that are new. Pronouns Mellow or they, them, and she, hers. I mean, I really I really feel for everybody who's learning new time management skills at this point, because this is not how life worked all prior to this coronavirus spreading. I actually had to move last week because of it. We weren't planning on moving for another month, but because of the mandate to shelter in home was pending, we wanted to make sure we were in our actual home that we were going to be in, and not be stuck trying to move out when all of this was happening. So I had to do that. So I had to be outside. I'm also by the water. I'm by the FDR, and when it was warm, like today, there's a lot of people out on the FDR. So it's kind of hard to go out and not know when other people are gonna do it as well. But I'm holding up okay. I think one of the biggest concerns I have, more personal concern, is that hospitals are now starting to limit their visitor policies. And so there might be a chance that my partner can't even be in the room with me when I finally give birth. So it has a huge impact on my life that was not expecting. So scary. Let's see where we are in a month, and hopefully we're having a different kind of conversation.
Yes, we would definitely hope for that. Anything you're learning or want to learn?
I'm learning how to move really fast. Giving the load that I am carrying.
Yeah. I cannot. I mean, I think we just have to give huge props to Melody. Moving is hard in any context. Moving is extra hard when you're 8 months pregnant, and it's extra hard in the time of Corona. So you are a superhero.
Yeah.
Anyone else who has joined us who hasn't shared and wants to share about how you're doing and what you're learning or would like to learn?
Hi, I can go.
Yes. Who's so soft?
Okay, so hi, I'm Tiffany. I go by she, hers, and I don't know, there's a lot of work to do, and I don't even have online Zoom classes. This is my first Zoom session ever.
Oh, welcome. Let us know if you need any tips. Frank has been on 4 today, so he's our expert supporting you.
Yeah, but I have so much work, and I realized how much harder it was to learn without a teacher. Like the material that I'm doing for a class, because I take a class called Existentialism, and it's like a philosophy kind of class, and it's just the material is so much harder to process without a teacher going over and like having discussions in class.
Your teachers will be very heartened to hear that. And before we move on, I wanted to mention, since you've all now done a warm-up of this, we were contacted again today by Shamita Basu, who is a reporter for WNYC Radio, and she would really like people to call in and say how remote learning is going for you. So I'll put her number in the chat in a little bit and text it out after our call. So if like, wow, you've already been thinking about it, everything that you shared today would be great to have on the radio, and also to sort of like help your teachers get better, know what you want, what you like, what you don't want. So capitalize on that. I'll just quickly say, pardon?
Is that only high school? Because I have a lot to say.
Oh no, I think it's high school and college for sure.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes, we're glad you have a lot to say. And actually, you know, it'd be great to hear you as someone who has done virtual learning and remote learning and to compare and contrast. So I will say as a segue, I'm Sanda, she, her, hers. How I'm doing really varies from moment to moment, like a lot. You know, it's a lot of emotions. So really glad to be here together. And I will say, you know, I don't know what the implications for our work are going to be. I think that our work has never been more important in terms of like how we help young people feel that you have agency to create change. We are going to have huge economic and political and social implications coming out of this time, and our country is not going to look the same as it did before. And so that we have a real opportunity to reshape things in profoundly positive or negative ways. And you and your peers are going to have huge influence on that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for stepping up to the plate to try to lead in a time of uncertainty. Okay, so now we're going to segue into a little bit of more specific talk about what are your thoughts and feelings about the current political moment and how to galvanize youth voters in the time of Corona. I'm going to launch a poll just as soon as I figure out how to do that, and it will have some questions for you. But you know, as we're teeing that up, why don't we try this part using the raise hands function? Divine and Mello, if you could man the chat. So we'll start a little bit general about like thoughts and feelings on the current political moment. Zuriel, you were starting to share something. If there's more you want to share on that front, but you know, so this can be about Trump's press conferences, about, you know, Anthony Fauci, about Cuomo, the political moment, and also like, are your peers paying attention and, you know, thinking about, are there ways to leverage this to get more young people civically involved and making the connection to voting and creating change? How do we raise hands? Great question, Kat. Yes,
participants.
You rate. Oh, you can go.
Okay, so click on participants, and on the bottom, it should say raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster, more.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Ah, here we go.
So see a hand by Kakeli.
You could clap too, guys. When we snap, you can clap too.
Can I share?
Should I just go then?
Yes.
Okay,
Divine, do you
well,
want to then call on people after Kikeli based on the hands?
Wait, me?
I'm sorry, you said you want me to call on people?
Yes, after Kikeli. Like, do you
Okay.
have access if you see the hands in the chat, and you can like tell us the
I do.
order after Kikeli?
Sure. Yes, it seems that you are next.
But I think I just may have launched the poll. So before we hear from Kikeli, come back.
Yeah, it did.
So
I just clapped the hands. I didn't raise my hand, by the way. I was
I
just
see.
showing people.
Wait, repeat how to raise a hand?
It's in participants. You click participants on the bottom, and then it'll show up on the right, and there's like lower hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster, on the right.
Thank you.
Reminder though, by the way, to like lower your hand after you're done speaking, because I have it like in classes, people will forget to lower their hand.
And then they keep calling on you.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't raise my hand." And it's like, "Oh, okay." It's funny.
Like class. I was stretching.
So yeah, exactly. So yeah, just lower your hand after you're done speaking.
okay. Okay, so like basically what I've noticed is that people haven't really been paying attention a whole lot. Like you still see young people just going about minding their day, crowding away, especially in Florida. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's in the water, but like Florida, those spring breakers really need to do something because there's a lot of old people right by those beaches who might be
That's
getting
true.
corona too. And what I've noticed is that now there's just come like this whole debate. Like I was watching like the report at 11 o'clock when Cuomo was like, Trump is trying to put money over people's lives. And I was like, my God, can't y'all just come together, get some ventilators, like get companies to like not care about the need to nationalize and just do it because people are dying. I feel like a lot of this is common sense, but it's not like coming through, and I don't know if young people are like really paying attention to that.
Well, to be fair, money talks, and companies don't want to give up money. They want to be paid to manufacture stuff, and they're not going to manufacture stuff for free because then they'd be losing a lot of money. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is.
Well, not if we force them to make things, which is legal in the United States. But Trump has
They could
refused to
literally
do that so far.
nationalize these industries. Like, I don't know why I get why the business world is like so scared and so concerned, but like that's why the option is there in the first place. Like you got to be strong, make these decisions, and nationalize these businesses because what else can we do?
Since when can businesses be nationalized in this country?
Oh, it can be nationalized through it's act. I just remember it starts with a D or something.
Yeah, it's
and
about
like,
procurement for national defense, but it just means that the federal government can order companies to make things and give them to them. It doesn't actually permanently make the business of the federal government.
I know it's not permanently. I know, like we would never do that. Like, oh my God, that could never happen in America. But
So
like
hold
that
up.
can be used for like
Hold
the
up.
ventilator crisis.
So we had several hands raised prior to this conversation. So I just want to keep facilitating that. So Kelly or Kat, whoever was designated to call on the hands.
Divine.
That was me. I'm not doing my job. Okay, it seems that it is Isabel, you're next.
Oh, cool.
Ella?
Yeah. Well, I mean, currently with the political climate, I've been paying the most attention to what's going on in New York specifically. It's very scary to see because in a lot of ways, like the precautions that they're taking now in the beginning seemed almost extreme, but then you see like how we haven't flattened the curve, like which was the whole objective. And it's I think like either today maybe like a 30-something-year-old principal died from the coronavirus who lives in Brooklyn, and it's very scary to see that like the precautions we're taking like aren't enough, and I mean like the cases are doubling like every 3 days, and I don't know, it seems like things are gonna be very different from now on, but like I don't know if we have the amount of resources or the testing to actually like make a difference for a while.
Fine.
Hey,
Who's next? Thank you for
Isabella.
sharing that, Bella.
It's Adam. Adam, you're next.
Hello. Corona makes me really upset. I'm upset. So I think I'm trying to be hopeful because I feel like the paranoia can set in, but I feel like in this time, with like activist stuff, like it's really disheartening that even if you want to organize and be someone who's like giving to like food banks or like going outside and trying to organize resources for other people, you can only effectively do that after 2 weeks of quarantine. And even if you do that, you still put yourself and other people at risk. So I think something of note there is that a lot of people in the time of crisis kind of want to help to a certain degree. They just don't know how to do so without risking their own health. And then another thing I kind of really hope for an American political perspective, is I really hope patriotism gets redefined, and like we start acknowledging the fact that it's like nurses and truckers and doctors who maybe make this country good, halfway decent, livable for all of us while we stay at home. So that is how I feel. I'm also really worried about a strike, but like also simultaneously really encouraging about a strike. I don't know what's going to happen there, but
What kind
the
of a
country
strike,
forcing
Adam?
people to work. What?
What kind of a strike?
Like essential workers just not working, or alternatively people not paying their rent. People not paying their rent, I'm super here for it. Don't do that. But people like not working when they're being dubbed essential workers, like,
Wait.
and then they get no support. Like it makes sense. I don't know.
Wait,
I
why
don't
don't
know.
you think they should
People still need to pay their rent. Sorry.
No worries.
Wait, why don't you think they should pay their rent?
Because they're essential workers and like they're literally not getting paid and they're not getting help from the government during this crisis. So if they have zero money, they pay their rent.
That's unfortunate, but if they don't pay their rent, whoever they pay rent to loses. So somebody's losing the situation, and you still are obligated to pay your rent because you signed a lease or you signed a mortgage, or maybe you're very, very fortunate you own wherever you live and you don't have to. But
This primarily affects people who are like impoverished and they don't have savings, they can afford to save, nor can they afford to just there are people living paycheck to paycheck, and if they can't pay their rent and they're not getting any help from the government, then they have literally nowhere to live. So I mean, we can't just put people on the streets during a pandemic. It's not just like a class thing, like it's a worldwide thing. Everyone's being affected by this, and so it's not like the rich people who should be like, oh, whatever. Like, it's affecting them too, this crisis. So, like, there has to be something done to help them out, even if it's just not having rent being paid. Even though this whole crisis is definitely affecting millions of people, like in the economy, and it's really bad. Rent, having shelter is not something that can be compromised. So.
And so, for whenever a good conversation comes up, I'm gonna take it over to the chat. So if anybody wants to respond to that, you should join me in the chat. I'd love to see what people's thoughts on or paying rent, not paying rent. But let's keep it moving. Devon, you got another hand ready?
Yeah, we do. We have Frank.
Oh, awesome.
This is real Frank. This isn't Frank leaving his hand up by mistake.
Yeah, no, this is, I was just I was actually raising my hand. I will lower it now.
Oh, Frank, before you start, Frank, Isabella and Adam, please lower your hands.
I could lower their hand.
Oh, great.
And Divine, can you tell us the next two people up after Frank so they know?
It's going to be Daniel and Kat.
Okay. So I remember really early on, someone was talking about like Trump's concern over the economy and like how he's thinking about like reopening like basically the country on Easter. And I just like I think there's this sort of like battle raging on between people who are like more concerned about the public health aspect of the crisis and like the economic aspect of the crisis. And I think like both are equally valid. I don't think there's like, oh, you can only care about one or you can only care about the other. Because the fact of the matter is like, if like the economy of the US goes south, right? I mean, like suicide rates in the US are directly correlated to, how well our economy is doing. And so to consider, like if we consider that aspect of it, people's livelihoods are literally based on how their jobs are doing and how the economy, how the stock market's doing. And so I don't think it's like such a ridiculous concern that he's like, we have to put like the economy of this country at like we have to put that ahead of the public health crisis, in some aspects at some point. Like we can't keep on locking everything down, and we can't keep on just like saying, don't go to your jobs, or like, do your jobs from home. We can't like shut down this country forever, especially in America, where we all have this idea where we're free and we can do whatever we want. Especially like because now, we just talked about the spring break thing, and people are like still doing whatever they want during spring break. So I remember this this way of like tackling the coronavirus from Britain or like Denmark or something that they're not trying anymore. But it's like basically all the young people, like everyone who's not at risk, just goes out and do whatever they want, and like goes to work, go to school, and everyone who's like high risk just stay at home, because eventually there might be like a second wave of the coronavirus which comes about, right? And so if that comes along, what are we gonna do? I mean, we're like just as effed as we are the first time, or if it comes down around third time. And so I think like there needs to be like some sort of like long-term strategy from the government. We can't just keep on saying, let's pump more money into the economy. Let's shut everything down for like months on end. Like that can't happen, especially not in America.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, so Daniel, you are next. Or is it Danny? Is it Danny or Daniel?
Daniel, simply.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me lower my hand. Okay, so I didn't introduce myself in the beginning. My name is Daniel. Him. And all I can say about the response to the virus is that I'm disappointed by the leadership of this country, because, and not specifically, I'm not talking about the president or Congress. I'm talking about all of them, Democrats, Republicans. They all acted slow, and they still try to push their agenda instead of focusing on people and trying to help them. For example, I was watching the debates yesterday and a few days ago, where they still, Democrats are trying to push their agenda of like Obamacare. Like I remember Pelosi was making an announcement that presidents should stop the trials of Obamacare. This is not the primary focus right now. We should focus on, passing bills without any tricky amendments, so people benefit from it, instead of, just having tax cuts for everyone. And also, I'm disappointed with President Trump's response to the virus, because I think, if I remember correctly, the first case in Washington came up, I believe it was during a few last weeks of January, or even days, maybe January 29th or something. And it took almost 3 months to close down the border. I hate the idea that for a really long time he was saying that it's a hoax, all that stuff. And it's very upsetting that the situation is going on right now. But I'm really thankful that we have Dr. Fauci as the leader of our task force, even though he, it's funny to see his reaction to some of the statements made by president. He can't do anything about that. He just have to play along and, whatever. So I feel like we're gonna be stuck in this situation for a long time without any actual solution, because partisanship is not going anywhere despite a global pandemic. So we can't predict anything. We just have to wait and see. But I lost all my hope for any good results that would come out of this. that's the end of my rant.
Did you say you've lost any hope that there could be anything good to come? Well, let's bookmark that and see if there's anything that we can do. But that is very real. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you. And next is Kat, and after Kat is going to be Asana, and then Kanisha.
Okay, so I forgot to introduce myself before, but my name is Kat, and my pronouns are she, her. And as for this coronavirus thing, it's really calming to know that like all of you are very educated about this, because I know a lot of people are being very uneducated about the whole thing. And one thing,
Kat, can you speak a little louder?
Okay, sorry. So my name is Kat. My pronouns are she, her. And one thing that has been bothering me this whole time, I hear people say like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a bad flu," or people also saying it only affects those who are immunocompromised and old people. Which, first of all, the way that people phrase it, it sounds as though like they're saying that old people and immunocompromised people are just disposable, and like it's just like natural selection in a way, which is just so nasty. And we should really be protecting those people, which we are. But some people are like just saying it so casually or with that mindset, knowing that it only affects old people and immunocompromised people. By saying that, they also just like go out, they help spread the virus, they further the spread of the virus, they put their families in danger, they put themselves in danger just out of miseducation and also a lack of concern for millions of people in this country. And the other thing about it being a bad flu, they've also not seen like we were talking about flattening the curve before. So like they also don't, a lot of people who say that, they don't know that like we have to flatten the curve, otherwise there's just not going to be enough hospital space, as well as the fact that it's like it's like doctors have proclaimed it to be as severe pneumonia. Pneumonia is crippling, it's debilitating, and it requires several months of physical therapy and hospitalization. So it's not just like, for many people, it's not just a bad flu that you can sit at home for and like wait it out, drink some tea. Like it's not just that. Like it requires hospitalization. So even if you are healthy, if you catch it, there's a high chance you're going to have to be hospitalized. There will be more resources needed for you and not someone who could die. And they're going to start doing triage. They're going to start choosing who needs to be prioritized and who's going to stay sick or leave or even die, just because they need to prioritize millions of people and there's not enough hospital beds in the entire world. So a lot of people have been taking this like way too lightly. I think the only way you should be taking it lightly is if you know that you're staying home. Like my family and I, we've been staying home. However, my mom, she's a nurse, so she's at the front line. Like she has several patients in her hospital, and I live with my grandmother, so we're already at risk for that. But we've been completely staying home, and the isolation's been kind of boring. But like for the safety of my grandmother and other people in the city, I'm staying home, and I'm like proud that I know enough to stay home. So I hope people are becoming more educated about it as time goes, because I know in the beginning some people were very uneducated about this thing.
Have you all seen the campaign? Kat reminds me of this. I'm staying home for, and having people like show pictures of, just to like make it real about what the stakes are. Thanks for sharing that, Kat.
Thank you.
Okay, so like how we were talking about earlier, like how can we actually like engage people to vote in a time of crisis like this? I think it's actually like having a situation going on like the one currently now, like obviously it's a bad situation and nobody's enjoying it, but part of voting is actually influencing change. Like when people vote, they vote because they want change or because they want to implement the way of life that they want, or like policies that they want. So like especially telling people like, oh, like do you not like what it's currently like in your country right now, in the world right now? Well, then vote to make things better. Vote for what you want, you know, like vote for how you want things to be different. Like obviously it's not ideal, but we can definitely use these circumstances to like influence people to vote for change.
Could not agree more. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Asana. Thank you for also lowering your hands. Kanisha, you are next.
Okay, so this kind of goes into the whole issue of rent and should you pay it, should you not pay it. So I think like a lot that needs to be taken into consideration is people's employment situations, because a lot of people like are getting laid off of work, so they clearly don't have a stable income and they can't pay rent, like, and they need to spend that money on essential goods. So basically what I think needs to happen is, since welfare is also probably going to go down during this time because of the recession, and because welfare just isn't very well implemented to this day when it comes to housing, what needs to happen is the government needs to basically take into understanding that people who are laid off, people that are in poverty, those who can't afford housing, mortgage, or rent, to have some sort of, I guess, some sort of payment plan for them. Not completely eliminating rent, but during this time, I think that's probably the smartest thing to do.
Thank you, Kanisha. And we did not get a chance to officially welcome Kanisha. It's Kanisha's first meeting today. So welcome, Kanisha. We're thrilled to have you. Great thought.
Welcome, Kanisha. Okay, so we have about 2 minutes left for this section. So if you have something quick to say, the next person on the list is Zachary, following Sumera, and then Nathaniel. If either one of y'all have something quick to say, I encourage you to say it. Otherwise, you could also move it into the chat as we move on to the next section.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I feel like they got what I was going to say.
Great.
Going back to the poll, I believe we should do it through mail, because if we were to do it online, not only would we be putting people out of jobs in the U.S. Postal Service, but we would I would say it's kind of easy to cheat online to that extent, and also we're just playing into just corporations. We need to kind of give back to the people instead of just putting people out of jobs.
Zach, thank you so much for sharing that. We're probably not going to have a ton of time today to delve into this poll, but it's going to be the top thing that we discuss next time, of drilling into the pros and cons of online voting, vote by mail, in-person voting, because they all have significant pros and cons that I think it would be valuable for us to understand, both for the Gen Z demographic and more broadly. And yes, voter security issues are a big issue. So while online voting would certainly be easiest for younger folks, it may not be what would serve us best. So thanks for sharing that. Last thoughts and comments for this section? And can everyone see the poll results?
Yep.
Yep.
I can't even see the poll. Where is this poll?
It should just
It doesn't pop up on your screen?
Yeah.
Oh.
It says polling on the bottom.
It did not. Maybe I was disconnected for that part.
It may be because you're a co-host, but I'll send.
I didn't get to vote.
You didn't vote. Okay. See if there's a way to reopen it. And for those who are on the phone, I should read it aloud. So the results were, and these are provisional, we'll relaunch it. Top with 11 votes, or 69% of the votes, was online voting. The question is, how do you feel? What do you feel is the best way to increase youth vote in the time of Corona? 69% of us said online voting. 19% of us said a combination of in-person voting and absentee ballot option. 13% of us said vote by mail. No votes for in-person voting with social distancing or other. So this is really interesting, especially because vote by mail has been getting a lot of attention recently. It's clearly not a big thing for us yet, but we'll see as we drill, into it what we think. Okay, any last thoughts for this section before we adjust previewing? We're going to be teeing up Adam and Mukatis, sharing some updates on campaigns and going into some campaign and how our campaigns may be shifting in the age of Corona. But last thoughts about this political moment and how to use it to our advantage around youth voter and civic engagement.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What? Oh shit, I forgot it. Wait. Oh no. I'm sorry. I totally forgot.
If it comes up again, Shoshana, put it in the chat box.
I remember it. Are there still primaries going on, right now?
Great
Most
question.
have delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the specifics of the New York primary, it's still a question about whether we will have our first primary. The federal primary was to be April 28th. There is a lot of activism going on to try to blend that with the state primary, which would be at the end of June. Many feel that those should have been blended long ago. That had been a non-starter right now for this year, but it's now on the table. Okay. So I think we are going to toggle over to our campaigns.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes. So for folks who don't know, we're now in our new structure where we have a leadership team that meets bi-weekly, and then we have all of you as the collective that meets monthly. So on one of the last days that we were all able to actually physically be in contact with one another, and I'm very glad that none of us came down with coronavirus, so that was okay. Back on March 10th, the leadership team gathered, had a fantastic meeting, did a lot of great thinking and planning. And today they're going to share some of the initial thinking to get your input for you to enrich it, add to it. So they're going to give an overview. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions, to share some thoughts, and then we'll go into the breakout groups that you've already seen previewed to drill deeper into goal setting. Any questions about that? Cool. Mukaddis or Adam, which of you would like to go first?
And facilitators, are you ready to share screens for the worksheet?
Sure.
Yessie, I think Yessie is going to share. Once Adam or Mukaddis says who's going first, we will put the Google Doc into the screen.
I'll go for it.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam, before you begin, Sandra, can you make sure that I am a host? I don't think that I am.
Okay, I will check. If you logged out, maybe not.
Let me pull this up real quick.
So Adam also shares the Google Doc in the chat for anybody who's interested in jumping in that. But we'll also screen share as well. Go ahead, Adam. Is that
Okay.
you? Okay.
So our last meeting, we kind of fleshed out a little bit more of the civic education campaign. I wrote like a 3-ish sentence overview that is in the document that I sent. And I'm just going to read that out loud for anyone who is having difficulties with that. Our campaign aims to revamp civic education by creating our own lessons created by high school students. Created for high school students. There we go. For high school students by high school student activists. We've noticed that civic education in schools presently fails to equip students with practical information and effectively guide them to civic engagement outside of Civics for All Week, which has some of its own problems, like it's like 1 week. And then, so we plan to draft our own lessons that give students the practical information that they currently aren't getting, and teach that information ourselves if we can. Oh my God, my screen just disappeared. Okay, screen sharing, yes. Yeah, so that is kind of like the general overview. And then I can go over the skeleton right now. But some of the biggest points are getting that info into like getting the information that we think students need, which is primarily just like what like a ballot looks like, how to vote, where to go, where to find how to vote for yourself outside of Civics Week. All of that information, and then also being aware of the various communities within New York City schools. So undocumented peoples or people who might not have easy access to a polling place, and making sure that information is kind of catered to them to a certain degree. And then also we'll need, in terms of action, we were thinking school-wide or class-wide events that aren't terrible, because a lot of assemblies can get pretty boring. And students just check out, and hopefully having students teach to other students will kind of give us a little pull in that direction in terms of attention, but it's not guaranteed. So we're going to brainstorm ways to kind of figure out how we're going to relay this information to them. What's really important is that the curriculum that we draft, or the lesson that we draft, is by us and is like kind of adaptable. I ideally we'll have like, and this pulls from some later resources, but ideally we'll have like a mild and like a spicy that gets a little radical. And is like, this is what, this is how, I don't know, I'm not going to get into all that. We're going to have a mild and a radical. I want that. I'm like dream boarding for the plan. And then, yeah. And then, okay. Who can help and how? We'll need school administrators and teachers to kind of lend us a period or periods to convey teach-ins. The Climate Coalition of New York City was working on a really similar plan. But because of Corona, that's kind of been dialed back, which also honestly, maybe we'll have to dial back this plan or reorient it because of coronavirus, because
reorient, not dial back, dial up.
Reorient, not dial back, dial up. Okay, more radical.
Or dial in.
Okay, yeah, so we're gonna figure out how we're gonna do that. Maybe we'll like take a Zoom call because school ends earlier for me, at least. I don't know if other public schools have adapted around that, but like personally, my Zoom calls end an hour earlier than my school normally does when I go there in person. So maybe we'll have the time. And then we had a rough schedule for the month of March, but then Corona happened. And there was just not, like, there's way too many factors going on right now, I feel like, to try and cram in a bunch of work for March, especially when we're revisioning the project. But originally we were aiming to kind of have a breakdown of what information we want to relay by the end of this month, which I still think is somewhat feasible, like a written kind of presentation of what we want to relay by the end of this month to fellow students. I think that is all I have to say. I think that's the general overview. The document is set to can edit, which I should change actually, but anyone can comment now. So if you have comments, you can comment directly on the document that I shared, if you like.
You can use this comment to not.
What?
No, I'm saying for people to use this so that we can see what they are.
Oh, the chat.
Yeah.
Also, just for people learning Zoom, I just learned this yesterday from Sanda that we can save the chat. So we're capturing, cat calling, Yessie out and not opening all her certificates. But just to let you know, we're going to save the chat as well. So if people write their thoughts there, don't be afraid that it'll be lost. We're gonna save that. But yes, Kat, write your comments on the doc as Adam requested.
Or don't, or give me your critiques now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really whatever. Your decision.
Anybody want to go? Comments?
I think I need access to these things. I don't think I have it for either group.
You can say it out loud, and then I can just type it up.
No, we haven't split into the groups yet. We're doing this as a whole before we break into the group.
Oh, okay, great.
The share outs are just for your knowledge, so listen up. Next is going to be voter mobilization. Mukada's, you ready?
I'm in the Google Docs.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, the Google Doc you don't have access to?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's okay for now, but we will open up that you will have access to that as we go into our small groups.
Yeah.
Okay. A heads up.
Okay, so I'm part of I was one of the lead coordinators for the voter mobilization campaign. And one of our guiding questions were, how can we support eligible voters in registering and showing up to vote in upcoming elections? And what are potential pathways for successful mobilization? So a lot of the work we did 2 weeks ago was really productive, but I feel like now we really need to change kind of our schedule because of Corona. But so one of the things that the group talked about was we wanted to partner with conferences and concerts, but that might be an issue because of the virus. And we wanted to capitalize on good weather, which is also an issue. But one of the main things that we wanted to do was create, like, using our creativity to create fact sheets, and not just on like voter registration, but like literally deadlines, candidates, like in different languages as well, because not everyone speaks English. And we wanted to host events in libraries and community spaces. One thing we talked about was whether or not our group was going to do like New York City as a whole, focusing on voter registration rates as New York City as a whole, or like we were going to focus on a specific area. And our group decided that we were going to focus on a specific area, which was District 15, which has some of the lower voter turnout rates, youth voter turnout rates.
Quick question, District 15 is in the Bronx?
Congressional, so it is confusing because districts are many things. So there's a District 15 City Council that's actually in Brooklyn, but we were talking about Congressional District 15 in the Bronx.
Yeah,
thank you for raising
that clear. So we wanted to focus on who we were targeting and how we were going to target them, and really youth issues that we care about, like immigration, criminal justice, to really get people to start voting. Because there's one thing is people register, but another thing is the amount of people that actually show up to vote, which we wanted to, and our target is to increase both of those rates, voter registration and voter turnout. And we have that some of the people that could help us were YVote, the borough president, things like that. So really, we're open to like your guys' opinion on what we can do better. Some of the dates that we have under are like just the last days to register, which were supposed to be deadlines for our group so that we can start registering people. But honestly, like with the whole Corona thing, we might have to like reshift that and go in a different direction. So that would be great if we can get your input on that. And that's it.
Any questions or thoughts to share? And that can also be from the group, from folks who worked in the voter mobilization group.
Oh, yeah, I just want to point out that like another detail that we briefly mentioned last time was like, I think the experimental aspect of the voter registration, of the like voter registration campaign, like whether we wanted to like try out different methods and then see what was most effective for the future. And so we could like gather research on like how many people respond to, like if we like do different ways of sort of getting people to register to vote, like which way was most effective, and we could gather data based on, and we talked to Sandra about this, about like gathering data from whether like they actually registered to vote, and that kind of information. And so we could like also use this as like a stepping stone for like future campaigns that we choose to do if we want to like achieve like maximum efficiency.
Yes. Okay, any other questions before Mello introduces the next part and we magically split into our breakout groups? Ooh, do people see Mello's good question in the chat? Wonder what an effective virtual voter registration booth looks like. Anyone have thoughts about that?
Wait. Can I talk?
Yes.
I think that it could be like used badly with like corruption, because especially if we're still, which I really hope not, but if we're still quarantined by the time of like the big election, like we all know Donald Trump would take away people's votes if it was online.
I'm talking about voter registration.
Oh, voter registration. Oh, well, they're also going to try to make that harder for people to register to vote. They're not old anyway.
I mean, one thing that really like that online voter registration, I feel like the biggest conversations that would be possible if we're like diving into voter registration within a district, the face-to-face conversations that would be like most valuable are going to be undermined by Corona, because we're not allowed to like go stand next to people on the street and talk to them about the importance of voting, you know?
To Nathaniel's question in the chat, which we won't go into deeply, but you probably heard people express concerns about whether Trump could postpone the election by like declaring this national emergency or do something. I've read a bunch about this. Like, obviously things can change, but it is anti-constitutional. And in fact, if there is not an election on January, I think it's January 1st, 2021, Nancy Pelosi would become president. It's the Speaker of the House. So that's a disincentive for him to cancel the election, but you know, oh, Mello's dog. Yeah. That's amazing.
I can't. She's trying to hump me, so this is me trying to avoid being humped at the moment.
That's a dog.
Sexual harassment in the workplace.
You'll definitely have to give him a sexual harassment policy. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Should I take over at this point?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I thought it'd be good to talk a little bit about, for transparency purposes, kind of our process in our leadership team, leadership meetings. So, and I think it was brought up in sharing of the Vote Mobilization group about the Bronx data, and working with our partner, BX Cat, right? Potentially, but now that might shift in a way. But I'm gonna share my screen. Let me pull this up. And I wanted to do this before we broke out because I wanted you all to use this in your breakout rooms as well. Share screen, screen one. Okay, everybody can see that? Okay, great. So we use that data, and Sanda, you can send out the data as well to the group if we're interested in looking at the data that we looked at. But the way we approach this,
Doesn't matter.
might need to mute somebody.
Yes, mute. A good reminder to mute.
I muted him.
You did. Thank
you. Awesome. So the way we went about this is that we used the data that, and remind me what district it was?
Congressional District 15.
There you go. And we used some of that data as a target starting point. So if and I'm just throwing a number out there, there was like 90,000 people that can still be registered to vote out there. Using that as a target starting point, we started to vision and dream what would be our goal by the end of this semester or rolling into summer. What do we think? What do we hope we can accomplish? Using that as a starting point. And then we built, using building blocks, try to think of 3 goals that we can set to help us meet that goal. And that correlated with an action. So I actually want to call, if I can, call on some people, not calling them, but ask for some volunteers who was part of this process, part of the leadership team, to share out something that they wrote out when we were using this worksheet. And you don't have to remember it verbatim, but just like an idea that you of an action or a goal that you wanted to set. So calling on my leadership team people. What are some goals?
Ago now feels like 2 centuries ago in the age of Corona, right. But even if you remember it hazily, you can share it. Could you repeat the prompt, Mello?
Yeah. So and everybody sees my screen, the leadership team, you should be familiar with this worksheet. So just share 1 or 2 goals or actions that you wanted to take towards increasing voter registration or turnout in the Bronx or in general? Oh, you have raised hands. So for this, please just popcorn out. I can't see the hands right now.
It's just Frank.
Okay. So yeah, I was trying to find the sheet from last time. I cannot find it, but I remember that part of the goals I think either goal 1 or goal 2 was like, first of all, obtaining the materials that we want to distribute, because we have to like give something, right? Primarily the voter registration forms. And so I think one of the most important steps, I think for me, this was either action goal 1 or goal 2, was to get in touch with like NYC Votes and to any organizations that actually distribute these materials. And so we can, talk to them first about how, number one, what their methods of, getting more people registered to vote were, and also like getting materials from them, of course. And so I think that's also one of the most important steps, is like the logistical, figuring out logistically how we're actually going to do the campaign, like in terms of this campaign, like in terms of getting the materials. And so I think that's one of the most important steps.
Thank you. And who was the next hand?
I don't think anybody else had a hand.
Oh, I had 2 hands raised. Tiffany, go ahead, Tiff.
I think building up on Frank's point, getting the materials to different people and having them understand how to register to vote and who their politicians are. Because I think we talked about last time how there was such a small voter turnout because people aren't aware of what they can do and who they could be voting for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, 2 more, or somebody else? I'm confused about the raising hand thing. Did anybody else raise their hand?
Oh, okay, I did.
Okay, great, go ahead.
Okay, well, basically, I wanted to target basically who exactly we were talking to, because I felt like a personal connection since like I used to live in the Bronx, and I wanted to like build relationships with the people in the actual district itself so that they would feel comfortable and not just thinking that I was just out there trying to like raise my numbers or to just use them. So I just want to like build an actual relationship so that I know that even when I leave, what they were saying wasn't just a lie to like placate me into like leaving, but like, yeah, they actually felt something, and that it's an actual connection that like they'll take with them after that day, and to continuously keep voting even when it seems like their last vote didn't work.
Yeah.
May I comment on what Kelly just said?
Of course.
By the way, I really appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people like to like monopolize or like just use people to like get the voter registration numbers up. But it's like really important to also build connections with people and try to like know them personally, and whether figuring out if why they don't vote, or just try to figure out helping them vote. Yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. TT, so important.
Yeah. So thank you all for sharing out. And again, the way we use this was a practice tool of how to use data to inform our action steps, not just our large goals, but how do we get there step by step. And so, the leadership team has been identifying very, very specifically, like, what do we need to have prepared by the end of this month, by next collective YVote meeting, by this time, by the next election, in order to really move the needle on the large numbers of people who are not turning out, especially young people themselves. So with that, I think it would be a good time to break out into our groups, but please continue to think very strategically in the feedback you give to our leaders. Again, just to talk about our bring back the model, everyone's gonna have a chance to have input. Everyone's part really matters. So please use this time when you break out into your rooms to give as much feedback as possible. If you're one of those people that couldn't make it to our leadership team meetings, because we really need that feedback in order to make decisions and move forward each of the 2 campaigns that we have on youth agenda.
Okay, so getting into our breakout groups, because I got a little bit overexcited in assigning these breakout groups earlier. Ideally, right now, something would pop up for the first time on your screen, but it probably happened an hour ago. So hopefully somewhere that you shrunk into the side of your screen, you can find something that is an invitation to join. And now is the moment to join that. So somewhere on your screen, you have an invitation. Okay, I see Kakeli has clicked hers. She's in her room. Kanisha has, Mello, Shoshana, Isabella has, Frank. Anyone having trouble finding it?
Question: how do I even get into the? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I see.
Do you see it?
Wait, I don't
Zach,
see
are you
it.
set? Zoe, you're not seeing your invitation? Should be somewhere on your screen. Do you see it?
No.
No. And Daniel, it looks like you have not yet. Oh, okay. Daniel did it. So Zoe, you are our only one. Let me see if I can reassign you. Oop, I think we got you. Zoe?
Yeah.
You see it now? It just relaunched it.
Wait. I don't see it because I saw the breakout thingy when you sent it the first time, but I don't have it now.
You should. And I just actually moved you out into a different group just so I could move you back. So I'm going to try again, but don't answer because it would put you into the wrong room. So I'm going to put you. Did you see something just come up?
No.
So strange. Is it possible? Can you just like click around to see if it might be shrunk somewhere in like a bottom corner of your screen?
Maybe do you want me to leave and then come back, like to re-click the link from the
Okay,
original?
like let's try that. Let's try it. Okay. Do you see the invitation now? Zoe? And we're back. This should bring everyone back, I believe.
Okay. Am I still screen sharing? I hope not.
I think you may be.
Okay, this says this will stop other screen sharing. No, that's not me.
Oh, sorry. Actually, we're viewing Melody's screen.
Yes.
Melo, do you know how to stop sharing your screen?
Okie dokie.
Is Melody back with us?
Yes, I'm here.
I think we are still viewing your screen, which may not be a problem.
My
Perfect. There we are, where we want to be. So we are not, we sort of blended our opening and our closing ritual about like, what are you learning and what are you hoping to learn? So we're gonna skip that. Would have been great to do if we had a little more time in terms of like what kind of support or accountability you need. But instead of that, why don't we, well, people want to, we don't have much time, but any like, just like really brief share out from each of the two groups.
I'll go. For our group, we were talking about like the civic education aspect, and we were talking about how we were gonna like, we were going essentially virtual for the next couple months. We were figuring out a plan on how to convey this information so that the public can understand what we're doing and how to educate them in a way that like everyone can have access to. So we were thinking we would be doing like a YouTube or a TikTok that conveys all of the important information that we need the voters to understand, why voting directly affects them, information on voting rights, and we were thinking about doing like a way that everyone can understand whether English is their first language or not, or if we're talking to children, so we have a demographic way, we can understand our demographic and know and have like a way to convey information in a simplified way, because a lot of the language we use is kind of complex sometimes, and you know, not everyone has the same amount of knowledge as we do, so we have to be understanding of the lack of education that others might have. So we were basically figuring out like ways to like promote our platform and have all this information in a way that people can access virtually, in a way that's also productive and allows other people to see it without having to worry about like not enough people seeing it or whatever. So yeah.
1 minute recap from the other group.
Yeah, I'll go. So we were speaking briefly about how we can transition, of course, to a virtual campaign. And so one of our biggest problems is what exactly are going to be our goals for the voter registration campaign. Given that so much of our work was going to be based off of like on the ground, like building relationships with people and like talking to people about, why they should register to vote, why they should vote, why they should participate in, why they should be civically active. And so, one of our main challenges is, we should like sort of emphasize perhaps voter turnout as well as voter registration. And of course, how are we actually going to be able to communicate with the target demographic, which is the people in CD15, which I don't think any of us live in. So we have to find some way to be able to communicate with them and, talk to, or, anyone who in our target demographic, which is the youth in New York City, like concerning, registering to vote and, actually turning out to vote. And we also talked about organizations that we can currently model our campaign off of, because, this is an unprecedented time. We want to see what other people are also doing to, bolster youth voter registration. So we mentioned, phone banking. We mentioned YVote, see what they're doing. We mentioned Rock the Vote, which is a national organization. And again, we're sort of in uncharted waters here, I think, for both groups. So we'll really have to see. I think we're really gonna have to model ourselves off of what other people are doing right now, and also think about, our overall strategy.
Excellent report outs, and unprecedented times smell like opportunity to us. So great that y'all come up with really exciting ideas. We appreciate you being here so much. Immediately following this meeting, we will send you out contact information for your two groups so you can continue these conversations that got started really richly here. You'll see on screen a couple upcoming events that you may be interested in. We'll email that to you. I know you can't click right into these, but you'll have them in your email. Any parting thoughts or questions before we let you get back to your evenings?
Do we know when the next meeting is going to be?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. So the next meeting of our leadership team is 2 weeks from tonight. And then our next meeting as a whole group would be not for a month. I encourage us to meet before that, maybe in your campaign groups, and that's why you'll sort of have a text exchange to figure out what could work for you. Also, just like a quick poll, so if you put your hand up in the chat box, if people would be interested next Tuesday, a week from tonight, in having a conversation with YVote alumni about college, what to think about when selecting a college, other things that might be on your mind about college. We had a bunch of our YVote alums volunteer to be interested in that. And I just wanted to make sure enough of you were there. I see a couple hands. And actually, it's fine to be small. So we'll share that information, and they're amazing, our YVote alums. You have a sense of that from Yessi and Divine. And we'll also be joined by Catrice and Newshot, for those of you who know them, and Diavian. So should be a really great conversation. Fantastic, everyone. Any other questions?
Would you be also sending out the Zoom information for that meeting as well?
Yes, and it will actually be the same as tonight. So that URL, which we'll resend, that is the YVote Zoom. And so also, if your subgroups want to have a Zoom on your own at a time, like on a weekend or whatever, that Zoom is available to you to use anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other last thoughts? Just a quick pulse check. How are people feeling? Like just like call it out.
Good.
Great.
Okay.
Optimistic.
Tired.
All right.
Exhausted.
All the things, all the feels. Thank you everyone so much for being here and for your commitment and dedication to making a better way as we move forward together.
Yep, and yay, we did our first virtual meeting. Woo! We didn't die.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
I'm just say bye to everybody as they leave the meeting.
Have a good night.
I like it. Like the inverse of the Disney store, like where you have the greeters, you're like the
yes.
Thank you. I'll send something
You
out.
on mute, Divine. I can't hear you.
Are we staying online?
No, we're just here, but what I will send something out in the text. It would be great for us to set up a debrief in the next couple days while it's fresh. But just as I would love everyone's how do people feel?
I feel great. I feel like the meeting went really well. And I think we didn't get to the part about passing the hat on for coordinators.
I think I missed. Yeah, I missed that. That's my bad.
That's okay though. We can do it as we send out I feel like as we send something out to those individual groups, asking who would be willing to take on Adam and Mukadas's role next time.
And I wonder.
And I think that they'll be just fine.
Yeah, they're good.
I think
our group got a lot of engagement as well, so looking forward to the debrief follow-up.
Excellent. Thank you all. Have good evening.
Good night.
Bye.